All organisms living in an ecosystem, such as the African savanna, require energy and nutrients in order to carry out essential life activities, such as growth, respiration, and reproduction. On the savanna, as in nearly every ecosystem on Earth, sunlight provides the energy that powers life, while nutrients and the other critical building blocks of life, such as carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and water, enter the ecosystem from the non-living environment, the atmosphere, and the earth or sea from which the ecosystem arises. Solar energy continuously bombards the earth, day after day, year after year, providing an essentially limitless source of energy for the earth's ecosystems. That energy flows through ecosystems, starting with the plants that convert the light energy to chemical energy via photosynthesis. Energy captured by plants is then transferred to the herbivores that graze on the plants. From there, part of the energy is transferred to predators as they eat the herbivores. Scavengers also obtain part of the energy that flooded into the ecosystem as sunlight as they pick at the remains left by predators. Finally, decomposers, breaking down what's left to the molecular level, obtain the last remaining bits of energy from what started as beams of light. It is fortunate for life on Earth that the flow of energy from the sun is essentially limitless, because as energy flows from plant to decomposer, each organism along the way releases part of the energy they capture as heat to the atmosphere, energy that is forever lost for biological purposes within the ecosystem. Thus, for the flow of energy and for the flow of life itself to continue in an ecosystem, an outside source must constantly be injecting it with new energy. Unlike solar energy, the nutrients essential to life are limited. The Earth only has so much carbon or phosphorus or nitrogen available for living organisms. For example, each year, photosynthesis in plants and other organisms captures approximately 1/7 of the carbon available in the atmosphere. If biological processes, such as cellular respiration, didn't return most of this captured carbon back to the atmosphere, life as we know it on Earth would rapidly end, as there would be no carbon in the atmosphere for plants or other photosynthetic organisms to carry out life processes, such as capturing the energy in sunlight. So in order for life on Earth to continue, nutrients must be constantly recycled by the Earth's ecosystems. Thus, energy flows through ecosystems while nutrients cycle through them. The processes by which energy flows through and nutrients are cycled within an ecosystem play a major role in shaping the complex interactions that occur between populations within the Earth's great living communities. Let's now take a look at how the energy and nutrients crucial to life travel through ecosystems and the interactions their travels.
Call all Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone. And salutations to all you brothers out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth and sincerity, risking your lives to do so. It's the brother Yahudan. Just want to do this lesson on balance, man. All right, because in these times we're in right now, we got to find a way to balance ourselves out. You know, not being overly righteous and not being overly wicked, man. All right. The Most High created this world in balance, man, in perfection. The complete circle, man. All right. Nothing is out of order. The only thing that's out of order is Esau. He set this earth to be out of place, messing up the ecosystem, messing up the biological order of the human body. You got animals that are going extinct. The environment is polluted. All right, so this thing of balance is applicable to pretty much every facet of life. Every decision that you make, every thought that you have has to be balanced out. You got to be a good judge. A good judge can discern between right and wrong. And I'm going to prove that. This is 2 Esdras 6:1. And he said unto me in the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightened, or ever the foundations of paradise were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys in Sion were hot, and ere the present years were sought out, and or ever the inventions of them that now sinned were turned, before they were sealed that have gathered faith for a treasure. Then I did consider these things, and they were all were made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by none other. Okay, so this was a revelation unto the prophet Esdras. All right, that is pretty much everything was created before the foundations of the earth through the Most High. All right, Yahweh. All right, and then with Yahweh Shai being created, that's when Elohim was created. These original spirits, known as the elect, the angels, man. All right, but the ecosystem was created in perfection and balance. All right, the human body itself is a resilient machine. As corruptible as the flesh is now in our current situation, imagine how perfect we're going to be when we get those spiritual bodies. All right, but I just wanted to kind of elaborate on the environment all around us, how everything is set in perfection. Nothing is out of order. If it had been, if there was one essential part of your body, an organ, or an essential part of the ecosystem that was not involved in the system, then it would be completely thrown out of whack, like somebody throwing a monkey wrench into a gear. And that's exactly how the body and spirituality is through the Elder's Great Millstone. And this is a unit, man. You have to have a functionality. Be a well-oiled machine spiritually. You can't be overly righteous. As much as we want to be perfect on this side, it's not that time right now. We got to suffer through the spirit and wait for those perfect bodies. And not be overly wicked either, and don't fall out the truth, because if you lean too far to each side, there's an opportunity for you to fall off, man. You got to find that point of fulcrum to balance yourself between the left hand and the right hand, spiritually and carnally. Isaiah 40:12, who hath measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and meted out heaven with the span, and comprehended the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales, and the hills in balance. That should make you fear the Lord, because the Lord had the power to create this entire earth in perfection and set it up for his son Yahweh Shai and Elohim to do that and plan everything out like clockwork before the end. And it played out perfectly from the beginning to the end. It's a complete circle. Not one thing is out of place. Not one thing that happens in this world, whether someone gets gunned down or killed, through judgment, all right, is out of place. It has already been written for that to occur. Just like these prophecies were preordained, and the men of the Lord have been predestined to do the things that they do, and their lot, and so do the wicked. It's all a machine, a spiritual machine, man. Proverbs 11:1, a false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. All right. So you gotta balance yourself out. You can't have too much of something. You gotta have moderation. You know, you drink too much water, you're gonna die from water intoxication. You can even die from breathing too much air. You can die from overeating. You can die from over drinking alcohol. Okay, so there's consequences in every um, situation that you push to the limits, and the same applies to spirituality and things in the flesh. It's an absolute must to apply the Lord's will through his laws to your everyday life. Whether you're deciding whether or not you should wear a button down shirt today, or if you should go with jeans instead. You got to have that forward thought. You got to weigh everything out justly. Of course, brothers aren't perfect, so we're going to make mistakes. But the point is that we look to be better and to continue to try and be the best servants we can to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And balancing everything out. Getting that filthiness out of our spirits, if we can help it. If you can help to reduce something that you do in the flesh and replace it in something you're doing that you're lacking in the spirit, that balances that just weight out. But if it's a false balance, it's an abomination to the Lord. Being overly carnal or being overly spiritual, you're going to burn out all your oil. The parable of the 10 virgins, I believe it's Matthew chapter 25 or 26. You only got so much oil and you can't necessarily step on the gas, otherwise you'll run out of gas, man. Spiritually. It's all about endurance. You got to endure until the end. Okay, but you also got to endure temptation to the flesh. See, for every yin, there's a yang. All right? For every pro, there's a con. For love, there's hate. You got to have a spiritual eye to understand that. Okay, see, it's a perfect circle, man. You got to have a little bit of darkness mixed with a little bit of light to be overly balanced. Can't have too much love and not the same amount of hate. Otherwise, your decision making is flawed. Your ability to discern right from wrong has been flawed. A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. Job 31:3 is not destruction to the wicked and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity. Do not he see my ways and count all my steps? If I have walked with vanity, or if my foot hath hasted to deceit, let me be weighed in an even balance, that God may know mine integrity. And that's what Yahweh Shem Yahushua is looking for. He's going to judge you by your balance, your spiritual works versus your carnal works, iniquity versus righteousness. You have to strive to be perfect like your creator. And like I said, we all fall short of that, but we still have to strive to be perfect, to be just and equal, impartial, have balance in everything that we do. You don't want to be overly wicked, overly carnal. You'll end up like Esau. And sure enough, through his rulership, he's leading the world to a swift destruction. Not only himself, but everybody under him in his kingdom. All these other nations, even 2/3 of Israel. He's destroyed the ecosystems. You have plant life at an all-time low. This man's chopped down rainforests to produce, firewood, paper, things like that. Not even having a conscious eye towards how that affects the balance of the world. How many animals that may have displaced. It's a permanent scar to the world that if it wasn't for Yahweh Shem Yahushua coming back to cleanse this place and rebuild the damage that has been done by these Edomites, then we would be screwed, man. The damage that these Edomites have done is irreversible. We need a higher power, man. Yes, we got to balance ourselves out and see the wrong in this world, but we also have to have the hope spiritually to know that the kingdom is coming, and the faith of the kingdom, to know that as wicked as this place is, to know that there's going to be something much better. Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. There's a time for everything. But in that median, all right, that median between spirituality and carnality, that's perfection, man. That pure balance, that just weight, that perfect circle, man. Without order, you have disorder. With too much disorder, you have chaos, man. Everything has an opposite, a parallel opposite. You know, people try and perpetrate this ideology in this world and society that you have to be all about love, which is not true. Okay, there's a flaw in that. You have to be balanced with hatred as well, and negativity, positivity and negativity. They are parallel opposites. If you can balance yourself in between those two, then that's perfection. That's where the Most High wants you to be. And see, only a spiritual man will understand that. All right, maybe some of the few sisters that the Lord's dealing with will understand that. Understand that a man has a role. Understand that a woman has a role. All right. Understand that everything has been set up for a certain reason. Even cockroaches have a reason. All right. Even that pesky ant on the ground that might be crawling in your room has a reason, a purpose. All right. Nothing has been created in vain. And if you sometimes like to sit back and think and meditate on how beautiful this world we live in, not currently because it's been torn down, but just the very essence of the amount of power and beauty in what the Most High created. And it infuriates me to see what these Edomites have done to it. We've all played a part and played a hand in the downfall of what the Lord created. And we're all equally guilty for that. But Esau more. Esau the most. Esau the undisputed champ. He has to go. He's a virus. He's that evil seed of Cain. All right. There's no balance in him. The Lord requires perfection. He requires a balance. Okay, if you can't abstain a balance, then woe to you. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sue, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Parallel. All right. Side by side, having the same distance continuously between them. They don't intersect. But it'd be necessary for you to have those two parallel paradigms, man. Okay, they're equal, but unequal at the same time. They're perfectly balanced out. So, I mean, I really didn't intend for this to be long, but I just wanted to stress the point of balance and to encourage brothers to pray and give thanks for the perfection of how we walked our lives wickedly and we were brought out of the world to possibly be a good servant to the Lord. You know, all that stuff, all those different instances, times, and things that you had done before this truth. All right, and then you were just like that, brought out of your slumber. And the perfection of your environment, your ecosystem, to know that if one thing was misplaced or out of place, that the world would be forever scarred and misplaced, put in disarray. You know, without oxygen, we'd be dead. Without carbon, there would be no plant life. It's a perfect circle, man, a yin and a yang. And with that, I say shalom.